Let's talk about Ertai Resurrected. For 2 blue and black, we have a 3/2 Phyrexian human wizard with flash. When it enters the battlefield, we're going to choose up to 1. We can counter target spell, activated ability, or triggered ability. Its controller draws a card, or we can destroy another target creature or planeswalker. Its controller draws a card. So a lot of flexibility on our commander. As for removal, the only downside is our opponent gets to draw a card, which may be worth it. If they have a huge threat, why not just give them a card instead of them winning the game? So the focus of this deck is a lot of flash creatures, a lot with ETBs, and to make sure there are some flicker effects. Budget was supposed to be around $30 to $45, so let's jump right into it. Let's get the necessary stuff out of the way. We got Crystal Shard and Panharmonicon. We can pay 3 colorless or 1 blue to return a creature to our hand, and we're not going to pay the 1 to counter this ability. Panharmonicon is perfect for this deck. We have a lot of ETB triggers, so this is going to double it if they're an artifact or a creature. Some of these sweet creatures we have are things like Diluvian Primordial, Gonti Lord of Luxury, and Hostage Taker. I personally love ETBs, and I think these are great creatures to take advantage of that. Diluvian Primordial hits each opponent, so we can grab an instant or sorcery for free and cast them for free, and then they're exiled. So now our opponents can no longer use them. There's also Gonti Lord of Luxury, probably my favorite commander ever. You target an opponent, you look at their top 4 cards, you exile one, and you can then cast it. So you get to take your opponent's cards, and Hostage Taker, when it enters the battlefield, we're going to exile another target creature or artifact until this leaves the battlefield. We can then cast that card as long as it remains exiled. So if you love to take your opponent's stuff, these 3 things are going to do that very well. As for the flicker stuff, we have Blur, Displace, Essence Flux, and Ghostly Flicker. Flicker is whenever we exile things, they're removed from the battlefield and they come right back or at the end of our turn. So if they had any counters on them, they'll be removed, or any enchantments as well. But why we want these types of cards is because a lot of our stuff is going to have ETBs. We also have Nephalia Smuggler, Planar Incision, and Siren's Ruse. Nephalia Smuggler is really slow, but it's a last-minute effort. If we're not getting anywhere, we can at least pay 4 mana and exile something, unlike the other cards that are just a one-time thing. Speaking of just a one-time thing, let's talk about Archaeomancer. We can actually get those instants and sorceries back from our graveyard to our hand, and it's an ETB, so we get to abuse that as well. Or how about Callous Blood Mage, Circuit Mender, Dusk Legion Zealot, and Muldrift? When these enter the battlefield, we're able to draw cards. That's what this deck wants to do. We love ETB creatures, and these are going to be the ways we can start drawing a lot of cards. Or we have enchantments like Insight and Kumena's Awakening. If an opponent casts a green spell, we get to draw a card. Kumena's Awakening, if we have the City's Blessing, we are the only one that's going to be able to draw a card at our upkeep instead of each player. We also have Notion Thief. If an opponent would draw a card except one they draw at their draw step, instead we get to draw the cards. And this has Flash, which our deck can take advantage of with cards Slitherwisp. It has Flash, and whenever you cast another spell that has Flash, you draw a card and each opponent loses 1 life. You may look at this and say, wow, that is a pretty terrible card, but when we have a Flash and an ETB dedicated deck, this can be really sweet. It's a great way to start drawing cards because we have creatures like Activated Sleeper, Ancient Stone Idol, Brineborn Cutthroat, and Calidus Assassin. So each opponent's going to lose 1 life, and we get to draw a card whenever we're casting these, and Activated Sleeper gets to copy a creature in a graveyard that was put there this turn, which is exactly why we have Flash on it. Ancient Stone Idol. It's a 10 mana cost creature, but hear me out. It's a 12/12 with Flash, and it's going to cost 1 less each attacking creature. When I first saw this, I was like, wow, so this is meant for token deck. I'm going to be the one that has to attack. It does not specify which player has to be attacking. So our opponent could be attacking us, could be attacking another opponent. We just get to cast this 1 less each attacking creature. It also has Trample, and when it dies, we get a 6/12 construct with Trample. Really sweet card here. And Calidus Assassin. This came out recently with the 40k decks. When it enters the battlefield, it's going to enter tapped, and it enters as a copy of any creature on the battlefield, except it has, when this creature enters the battlefield, destroy up to 1 other target creature with the same name as this creature. So we get to copy their creature, and we get to destroy it. Let's talk about Cunning Nightbonder. 2/2 with Flash, and spells with Flash you cast cost 1 less and can't be countered. Very powerful stuff here. Or how about Naid of the Hidden Coves? If we cast a spell that's not on our turn, it's going to cost us 1 less. Or how about Zareth San the Trickster is a neat one. Not only does it have Flash, but when it deals combat damage to a player, we get to take one of their permanent from their graveyard and put it under our control. Really sweet stuff. Or how about for removal? We have Meteor Golem, Nevermaker, Noxious Gearhulk, Hulk and Ravenous Chupacabra. These have ETBs which we're able to take advantage of, so these can happen more than once. We also have non-creature removal spells. We have Curse of the Swine, Feed the Swarm, Negate, and these are all great and budget options for removal for this deck. If you'd like to purchase this deck, it's going to be in the link in the description below. Thank you to the channel supporter Drewby, and you can also become a supporter by becoming a member for 99 cents each month. I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.